Well, let's turn to our next segment. Sorry, it was a great conversation. I hate to cut it off, but moving on to where the opportunities are, and I'll turn to Tony. Where are you? What are some opportunities?
You know,
Tony?
I like information technology right now.
Okay,
I like agriculture. I like alternative energy. I'm not so much bullish on fossil energy, but alternative energy I think still is there.
Okay, I'm less buoyant, less bullish on ag-related products. Ag has been great now. I'm not saying it's going to turn southward or downward, but I just think the easy money's been made in ag. So I would probably take some money off the table there, invest in the overall market. I think if you got a buy and hold strategy, it's very good there. Now, Father Lannon, in terms of investing, you have there's another one of your jobs. You've got a huge portfolio of investing, and
we do, not just me.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the university does.
Thank you. And you're going to be providing direction for that portfolios? I mean, you rely on investment advisors, of course.
Absolutely.
But you ensure that we're not investing in something that's not good for society or bad for society, for example.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. On the first point, we want to make sure that we're investing wisely. And like with most universities, we've got a great group of men and women that help advise us in terms of our decisions and allocations to make sure that during the great times we've got some benefit, and during the tough times we can reduce our losses. But at the same time, too, there is that the values that we have as a university. We want to make sure that we're not investing in those companies or corporations that are really contrary to what we stand for as a Jesuit and Catholic university. But also, too, and I haven't seen the data recently, and you might have some information about this, the two of you, but also, too, I think there are some really good investments in terms of being socially conscious. And again, I've not seen some data, but I know that there's certain portfolios that we can jump into that are investing in those areas. And in many ways, the benefit has been quite good. Mm-hmm. But there's no question about it. We as an institution are very careful about where we place our dollars and to make sure that we're not supporting through our investment companies that would be contrary to the positions of this university.
And I think that you're absolutely right. Most investment portfolios have been able to demonstrate that being socially responsible in your investment does not cost you returns on your investment in doing so. Being a good citizen, a good member of society in the planet we live, and being a good steward is not detrimental to your own bottom line.
In that regard, everybody's concerned about China overtaking us. Not a chance. They're violating their environmental standards, even the loose standards they even have. This can't go on. You cannot devour the earth as they have been.
Those are unsustainable policies.
Unsustainable policies, trade policies. Let's turn what to watch for our next segment. What to watch for in the next month. Tony, I'll let you begin there, or which one?
Well, I think you got to look at unemployment's one of the things that you got to look at. We keep looking at that. It seems like each month it ebbs a little bit, and then you get a little inkling that, it's a little better this month, and then 2 weeks later you get a jobs report that's negative again.
Yeah, and this one is going to be okay for the month of September. It's not going to be good. Okay.
We're going to get into some seasonality here with the holidays.
Well, they try to adjust them. There's some, but they're going to try to adjust that. But can you adjust for certain things? Here, I'm concerned about, like I did last month, Greek default. I mean, a default.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're going to default. My money says Greece, sometime in the next 3 to 6 months, is going to default on their sovereign debt. Mm-hmm. That has some real implications back to the farm sector. It'll drive the dollar up and push agricultural commodity prices down. Now, Father Lannon, as far as president of a university, you watch, of course, the economy and the factors that you...
Every day. I mean,
every day.
I check the stock market every day.
Absolutely.
I check the employment rates every day. All that is so important because for our families to send their sons and daughters here, they've got to feel good about the economy. But I do agree with you. I'm very worried about the Eurozone, and I'm worried in particular about Greece. And to be honest, and this is getting a little beyond the nature of our conversation, but also I worry about the role of democracy in some of these nations, and what this could mean in terms of these nations collapsing economically, and then in turn what that might mean for their political system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and maybe some of that's playing out in the streets in New York as we speak.
Right.
and that is very troubling.
And so we hear those kinds of things in conversation. We return back to the idea that you're a CEO sitting on large amounts of cash. We've just answered the question to a great extent why there is so many CEOs sitting on that amount of cash, because huge uncertainty.
But you know,
uncertainty like we've never experienced really in most of our lifetime.
But one other thing that we have to watch out for, we don't pay much attention, is a weak dollar. If our dollar weakens, which I expect, not necessarily in the short term. In the short term, it's probably going to strengthen, but it weakens. That helps us recruit. We can go recruit students from other nations.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's what we're going to have to do.
But let me ask you, you seem to be pretty strong about saying there will not be a second recession.
Did I sound that strong?
Well, no, but
I don't think there's going to be.
So with the situation as we described it, why do you hold to that position? I'm glad you do, and I, like all of us, I hope you're right. But
well, our surveys just show a weak economy, and unemployment remaining high, employment growth not there, but the companies are still buying. What we need to see is a turnaround in housing. The housing sector remains low, but the numbers just don't say a recession. The problem would be if we had some unknown happening, which brings us to the next segment. Headline of the month, Tony. What could derail my recovery, or my positive?
I think the thing I don't know exactly what headline, but to your point, Ernie, I think the thing that makes me think that and be a little more bearish about the economy is that I think that the uncertainty and the prospect that we are still going to have 11 more or 13 more months of uncertainty because of the presidential election. That extended period of uncertainty about what's going to happen in our political system, and I think people worried about who would be president, where the direction of our economic policy would be 13, 14 months from now. It's going to be that long before that certainty's cleared up, and that much uncertainty for that extended period, I'm afraid that puts us in recession.
And to add to that, I mean, the super committee, what are they going to do?
That's coming out.
There's a default basis, of course, I think in December when that kicks in if they don't do
November. In
November. So what might they do? And you're right about the election.
That's a great one. That's that headline. That's going to be a headline soon.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, and well, that's I'm looking for inflation. Inflation spiking, and of course, Father Lannon, you have to. Again, we spend a lot of money, and inflation is not always good for us. So that can be a problem.
But you know, Ernie, as a judge or priest, I took a vow of poverty. So when I first joined the judges, I thought I'd never have to worry about money and the economy. And here we are, worried about all this stuff.
That's true. And worrying for all of us as well, because I mean it is. I hire graduate students, undergraduates, and when you have people working for you, you feel, and I don't have many, of course, but you have a real responsibility.
Right.
In your case, the huge responsibility
Absolutely.
of keeping people with their jobs.
I was talking with a major CEO in Omaha, and he said the first priority for him and for the senior leaders is to take care of your colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then second, to take care of the company. Mm-hmm. And then third, yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you do feel I think I'm sure they feel a real sense of I can't lay off workers. I mean, it's painful. It's tough for them. Well, let's turn to our final segment, which Tony and I always love to do, the Federal Reserve. Father Lannon, we always
are they still in business?
That's true. Just to I'll start off. The Fed may they meet again in November. They may launch QE3, which would go against what I've just said. Launching QE3 would weaken the dollar and would make agricultural commodity prices up and other commodities. I think they may launch QE3, which is, I think, a mistake. It's sort of, they've run out of bullets, as you're saying, Tony.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, I'm a little bit doubtful about QE3 because they seem to be so concerned about inflation, and I'm afraid that would be inflationary. And
I think even though inflation's spiking, I expect them to do QE3. I think, Tony, pumping up money.
It could be. They're really down to grasping at straws.
Right. I mean, what else is left?
Yeah,
that they can use. I don't think there's many arrows left in that quiver.
There's not.
That's exactly well stated. That's in your board meetings will that topic come up, what the Fed is or is not going to do? We have about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think so much that, but certainly the whole economic conditions of the nation.
It comes up, and
Very much so. So, especially when it comes to accessibility and affordability
for the
for
students.
Creighton and across the country for higher ed.
Well, that
good.
that went fast.
Yes,
I'll tell
yes,
you.
yes, it did.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks,
Thanks, Tony.
Father Lennon, and thanks to all of you for joining us in this video. And we'll meet again the 1st of November, and once again to talk about the economy. And between now and our November video, may your economic cup runneth over. Thank you for joining us.